Have you ever desired to become a master or an expert in some type of skill? Or have you ever wondered, how is it that some people are just so good at a particular task? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 tips on how you can become a master at anything. But before we begin, I want you to click the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so that anytime we upload a video, you are the first to know. Now today we're talking about how to become a master or an expert in a specific skill. But before we begin, I want you to understand that mastery is not talent. Mastery is not something that people are born with. It is a skill or a task that you begin to develop because of your interest in that particular thing. You have to spend time with it. You have to be committed to it, and you have to be willing to learn all that it takes to learn in order to become a master. A master simply means that whatever it is that you are doing, it has become second nature to you. So tip number 1 is that you must be committed. You must be very committed to this particular task. If there's something that you desire to become an expert in, simply saying that you're an expert means that this thing is second nature to you. You don't have to go read any books. You don't have to Google anything. You don't have to use any other outside resources other than your mind. It's just something that comes to you. But before that could happen, you must be very committed to the outcome, which is to become this expert. If you are not committed to the outcome, you can never become an expert. If you decide to quit along the way, that means that you are not committed to that task. You have to be intentionally committed on a daily basis. Not that you're committed once a week, not that you're committed once a month. You must be committed every week, every day of the week, and every hour of the day, every minute of the day, every second of the day. You must be committed to that task in order to become an expert. When you are committed to that particular task, that means that you are making calculated moves. You're making moves and movements and actions by being calculated, meaning that everything that you are engaging yourself in is towards the end goal. If it has nothing to do with your end goal, then you need to drop it. So tip number 1, which is the very beginning of how to become an expert at anything, you must be committed to it. Tip number 2 is to exercise your mind. What we mean by exercising your mind simply means that you need to sit down and learn. You have to be willing to learn a lot. You need to read books, watch videos, do a Google search on whatever it is that you desire to become an expert at. Practice makes perfect. By practicing this particular skill, by spending time with it, by learning it and putting it to practice, you can then become the expert that you desire. If your goal is to become something like a chef, you have to be willing to read books, do a Google search, watch videos in order to become this master. If today you desire to be a chef, but you have problems with boiling simple and ordinary water, what you need to do is put this to practice on a daily basis. All you need to do is to begin to boil water and make sure that you boil the water perfectly. And then you will begin to see that as time goes on, then you become an expert at boiling the water. Then you move to the next stage. You move to the next lesson, maybe to cook rice and make sure that the rice is not too soggy. Cook spaghetti. Make sure that the spaghetti is at the right texture that will be pleasing to the customer. You have to spend time with it. You have to practice this on a daily basis and practice your mental mindset, your mental game, your mental strategy at becoming this expert that you desire. If you refuse to exercise your mind, there is absolutely no way that you can become an expert. You can go and ask an expert of today, any expert in any field, one of the tasks that they had to accomplish was exercising their mind. Yes, when you're exercising your mind, you may hit a plateau. That's normal. It's normal to hit a plateau in any field that you are studying to be an expert in. So what you must do is to push yourself past this plateau. You have to force yourself past it. You have to push yourself through it so that you can become the expert that you desire today. By not pushing through this plateau, that means that you're not committed. That means that you ultimately don't want to become this expert. So if you desire to become an expert in any field, make sure that you are mentally exercising your mind as well as you're practicing on a daily basis so that you can become the best expert in your field. Tip number 3 is to develop your long-term memory. Now, this is something that is very hard for a lot of people to develop because they have not been putting it to use. But I'm here to tell you that you can develop your long-term memory skills if you work at it. Remember when you were in grade school and your teacher was sitting down with you, beside you, holding the pencil with you and helping you to trace the letters of your own name. Now, before then, you knew your name because your family members have been calling you by this name, your friends have been calling you by this name, but you at that time did not know how to spell your name. So your teacher needed to put it inside of your mind in a long-term memory form that you will now know how to spell your name so you can recognize your name in the future. What was happening was that your teacher was transitioning this information from your short-term memory into the long-term memory by a repetitive action. If you desire to become an expert, you must repeat what it is that you are desiring to become or what skill you're desiring to acquire. You must repeat it on a daily basis. It's a rinse and repeat type of situation. You do it today, you rinse and repeat it for the next day, and you continue that way until it is solidified in your memory. Short-term memory has the ability to last in your mind for about 20 to 30 seconds. That is not going to help you to become an expert. But long-term memory, once you have memorized whatever it is that you're desiring to become an expert in, once you have memorized it, then you will see that you will have it in your long-term memory so that you don't have to sit down and begin to recall it. Like short-term memory, you can easily say it. So if someone asks you how to spell your name, you don't have to sit down and begin to wonder which letter goes after which letter for my name because it's stored in long-term memory. If they wake me up today and ask me to teach a topic of osmosis to a group of students, I don't have to go to the textbook. I don't have to do a Google search. I don't have to do anything because I have memorized it because I have been teaching it for years. So in order to become an expert, you must begin to train your long-term memory so that it can stay with you forever. Something that you have learned from the age of 5, let's say 5, 6 when you were in grade school, which is your name, will be with you forever. You don't have to go back and relearn how to spell your name. Why? Because it's stored in the long-term memory. So move information from short-term memory into long-term memory, and that will help you to become the expert that you desire today. Tip number 4 is to spend hours on what matters. Now, if you look at your day, let's just say an 8-hour period. If you begin to actually jot down what you do in 8 hours, you will see that you spend a lot of time doing absolutely nothing, something that is not productive for you. If you desire to become a master at anything, it's going to require hours. Thousands of hours, and those hours mean that you are spending time with the information. You are spending time with the task, with the skill. You are out on the field if it's playing football. You are in the classroom if it's teaching. If it's being a medical doctor, you're in the operating room. You're spending hours doing this task because that is what matters to you. By not spending the hours, you just can't become an expert. If we asked Michael Jordan today, how was it that he became so good at the sport of basketball? He will tell you he was on the court for hours. When his mates were sleeping, he was on the court. When his mates were eating, he was on the court. When they were just going around and just living life, he was on the court. Why? Because that was a goal that he desired for himself. So whatever it is that you desire for yourself, ask yourself and truly ask yourself, what is it that I desire for myself and how much time have I spent to that thing? They always say that you will make time for whatever matters to you. You will make time for whatever matters to you. If that means that you have to cut your sleeping time to about 4 hours, so that you can become a master, if it really matters to you, if you are committed, like in tip number 1, to this task, then you will cut the sleep time down so that you can spend extra time on this task. So anything that is not useful for you, anything that's not going to get you to your end goal, your end result, needs to be completely eliminated. Just take it out of your day. It doesn't have any place in your schedule. It just needs to be completely removed. Tip number 5, friend, is to be able to self-actualize yourself. What do I mean by that? Know yourself. We all just have to be honest with ourselves. You have to know ourselves. You have to know your stamina. You have to know your strength. You have to know your willingness. You have to understand your energy level. You just have to understand yourself, because when you are able to actualize yourself, know who you are, that is when you will discover your purpose. That is when you will discover what it is that you are actually interested in. By you not knowing what you're interested in, you will waste time on what doesn't matter. You will waste time in areas that you're really just not interested in. Spend time getting to know yourself. Spend time getting to know who you are as a person, and then you'll be able to actualize and be able to put yourself in the places that you are meant to be. If you cannot do this step, which I will consider to be a very important step, then you will be going around in circles for no reason. You'll waste your own time. And the truth of the matter is that we don't have that much time. Time is not infinite. We definitely have a finite number of hours in the day. Everybody knows that we only have 24 hours, and you have to use it usefully. You have to use it strategically. You have to make sure that it makes sense to you, the way you're using your time. So begin to know yourself. Spend time getting to know yourself. Maybe get a piece of paper out and write down what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. Where do you slack off? When do you become so distracted? When do you give up? Right? Because when someone wants to become a master, you can't easily give up. You have to spend a lot of time with this stuff. And if you know that you are someone who easily quits, it's going to be very difficult for you to become a master or an expert in anything. So begin to know yourself. Ask yourself the real important questions that you don't really want to share with other people, right? Maybe because you'll be embarrassed by the answer, but talk to yourself. Get to know yourself. Know who you are as a person. Know why you want to do something. Know why you want to become something. Is it because of fame? Is it because of money? Or is it because you genuinely love this thing and you want to become an expert to help other people? Now, my dear friends, I've shared with you 5 practical ways that you can begin today to become an expert in whatever field that you desire. Of course, there's so many more. This is just the surface of what you need to begin to do. But I believe that if you begin to implement these 5 strategies in your life today, you are in the right direction on becoming an expert in your field. In the comments below, leave a comment on what you plan on beginning to implement in your life today so that you can become an expert. Remember that there's some free downloads below for you, as well as the link to our Facebook group. Why don't you click the link down below so that you can become a part of our family? We would love to have you there. Hope this video has helped you today, my dear friend. And until the next one, bye.